and did it without AOC and did it without Bernie Sanders. You could make an argument had they engaged with their fellow socialists. But I mean, she would have won.
We need to talk about Francesca Hong's nail-biter of a race. With the entire establishment against her, Fran Hong came within a single percentage point of winning. And while there were many reasons for her loss, from lack of endorsements to crossover voters, what we know for sure is that there is no debating the power of the democratic socialist movement.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are missing the story here. It's not that she lost, it's that weak candidate without any establishment support almost won. She got 39% of the votes in Wisconsin. Okay, and that's not the state where the DSA is supposed to win. And but for those stumbles in the final weeks, she would have won. And that is the trend. It's not that she didn't win the race. It's that message, that progressive, whatever it is, message is gaining steam even in Wisconsin compared to yesterday, compared to last year, and will continue to gain steam. And in effect, she didn't lose because of the message. She lost because voters questioned her electability.
Yeah, I mean,
and so the message is actually on the rise. So I think if Democrats were smart, they would pay attention to the fact that she came within 0.5 points of becoming the nominee.
And did it without AOC and did it without Bernie Sanders. You could make an argument had they engaged with their fellow socialists. But I mean, she would have won.
This race was so close that there were a lot of questions about what went wrong for Hong. Even MAGA turds like Tim Pool are suspicious of the way the elections shaked out, especially since there was a human error delay in the city that Francesca desperately needed to win.
There are two things. There's the audit log and the results. What we uncovered was that 5 of the sticks had the audit log downloaded and not the results. It's a human error. These things can happen. So basically what we need to do is go back to the operations center and we're going to download out of those 5 machines the results and make sure that it's not the audit log.
Now, I'm no election denier like Tim Pool, so I think realistically there were other factors that were more important. In my opinion, there are ways in which she could have been better supported or better supported herself. Now, whether it's crossover voters or some fishy USB cards, what we can expect is the establishment media working overtime to pretend that this is now the death of the American left, ignoring the fact that Fran only lost by 3,000 votes, a lot less than Trump asked for in that famous perfect phone call, and the fact that they acted like El Sayed winning by 15,000 votes was somehow a loss, even though he won by more than Crowley did. Plus, let's not forget that Peggy Flanagan is a proud progressive, and without being a socialist, she's about as left as you can get. She has an incredible platform and is going to be an amazing addition to the Senate. She benefited from the fact that Angie Craig was a uniquely unlikable candidate, but also from the endorsement and support of Bernie Sanders, whereas he didn't do the same for his fellow actual Democratic socialist, raising a lot of eyebrows from some of us as to what he was thinking.
How do you calculate, where are you going to place endorsements and where not? I mean, we just had Francesca Hong lose by a hair in Wisconsin, and impossible to know, exactly whether an endorsement from you or AOC would make a difference. But how do you, and I keep using the example of that game Risk, which I played as a kid, where, you don't move to Kamchatka until you have enough on Irkutsk or something. How do you calibrate that?
That's a good question. And it's, something that we in our political movement think about a whole lot. I think for a start, we don't want to overextend ourselves and promise more than we can provide. So we take, and second of all, I am a United States Senator. Am I familiar with the agricultural problems facing farmers in Wisconsin? I am not. Do I know something about what's going on nationally? I do. So for a start, most of our focus, with a few exceptions, has been on U.S. Senate races, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, maybe elsewhere, and congressional races, a lot of congressional races. Also, we have supported dozens and dozens of what we call down ballot candidates, people running literally for school board, city council, mayor, state legislature. Why are we doing that? In that it's to create, in a sense, a farm team. These are the young people who 10, 20 years from now will be national leaders. And we want to help them get elected, get the experience that they need. And then furthermore, when we look at a campaign, for example, you got wonderful victories that took place in mayor's races in Seattle, Washington, D.C. We were not involved in those races. So we can't do everything. But what we do, we want to do well and give the kind of support to those candidates that they may need. That's kind of the answer. Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
Whatever internal political strategy that may exist for Bernie and AOC, I'm of the mind that the broader movement is more important than their individual endorsement record. No one will ever be able to convince me that a Bernie or AOC endorsement wouldn't have pushed Fran over the 0.5% 3,000K vote threshold that she needed. But Francesca, for her part, is a team player. She was breaking bread with Crowley the morning after, immediately proving that the only part of the coalition that is actually vote blue no matter who are progressives. And honestly, David Crowley has a lot of work ahead of him if he's going to win over anyone, let alone the left.
We need a governor who can be at the mountaintops, bringing venture capitalists to Wisconsin to make these incredible investments, right?
I'm not sure if venture capitalists are what Wisconsinites are concerned with bringing more of into their state. In fact, I think they want them to pay their fair share for once. But instead, Crowley is taking a different approach to Hong's Tax the Rich campaign promise.
It's time for us to revisit our tax structure, but, it's about bringing people to the table. We have to look at this system holistically and not just saying tax the rich. And the reason why I say that is taxing the rich going to give us everything that we need? Are there other revenue opportunities outside of the income tax that we should be looking at to make sure the resources are available?
And when it comes to AI data centers that are a 75-25 issue with voters, Crowley is literally to the right of someone like Greg Abbott here in Texas. Crowley says there is just no way to stop data centers. He says you can't end the construction of new data centers that are being built. These contracts are already in place, guys. There's no way to stop them. The classic, a better world isn't possible approach. Meanwhile, even Hot Wheels' Greg Abbott is smart enough to recognize that data centers are a no-go. Even MAGA Red Texas is proposing a downright ban. Abbott called for new AI data centers in rural Texas neighborhoods to be prohibited. He also argued for companies seeking to build facilities in the state should finance their own projects, literally to the left of David Crowley. So I hope that he can turn that disaster of a message around to convince voters to come out for him. But as far as Francesca Hong, well, I think just like Abdul El Sayed when he ran and lost, this is just the beginning of her long and successful political career. She will be a Democratic Socialist leader for years to come. Support us on the channel by becoming a member or simply subscribing. And of course, check out your local DSA chapter. I'm Tony Hinderman, and I'll catch you next time.